So let's talk about The Devil You Know trilogy by one of my favorite authors, Kerrigan Byrne. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It is Charles from the channel Books on Stereo, and I'm here to talk about The Devil You Know trilogy by Kerrigan Byrne. Now before I get into these books, you can also go check out the live show that I actually had with Kerrigan Byrne where we talked all about these books. It is spoilery, so be warned, but in this video I will keep it non-spoilery. So in essence, what is this series about? So let me give you a huge overarching kind of like premise for the series, and then we'll go through each of the books and I'll give you my thoughts on the trilogy as a whole. So in this book, or in this trilogy, we follow three different women who all form a sisterhood called the Red Rogues. And our three main heroines are Alexandra, Celia, and Francesca. Each of these characters has their own narrative that you find out in through each of their books. And overall, it's about these really strong feminist women fighting for their own happily ever afters and bringing the ignorant men down to their feet. So without further ado, let's get into the books. So up first we have How to Love a Duke in 10 Days, and this is book 1 in the trilogy. And this one we follow Lady Alexandra. In the beginning of the book, I will have to preface this by saying there is a trigger warning. There is a graphic rape scene in the prologue of this book, and that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to give too much away, but essentially after the prologue, we basically find out that our main character is being blackmailed for the events that happened in that prologue. And she basically needs to marry someone who has a tons of money. And here enters in our hero. Now I absolutely love this one. This one does an excellent job of really showing our main heroine kind of healing from sexual assault and what that process may look like in this time period. And still her finding love and finding a hero that understands that and is willing to meet her where she is. And I absolutely love this book. This is a fantastic start to the trilogy, and I give this one a 5 out of 5 stars. Up next we have All Scott and Bothered, and this is Celia's book. And Celia is a little bit of an interesting character. She is a plus size heroine, and in the beginning of the book we basically find out that she has been locked in a room by her evil father for basically like impure thoughts or impure deeds. It was really all kind of BS. And it was all just a cover up just so he can punish her because he really didn't like her. Fast forward like maybe 20-30 years into the future, we find out that Celia has come to inherit what you can kind of call like a brothel, but not really. It's essentially like a boarding school for young women. And our hero is actually the inspector that is hellbent on bringing down this boarding house because it believes it's dealing in some nefarious things. And so in this book, we definitely have our Scottish hero, so everyone will probably want to gravitate to this book because of that. And so I absolutely love this book as well. I think the heat level in this one is just off the charts. Like, oh my goodness, this was just so good. And I liked in this one, both our characters kind of call out the hypocrisies in each other's profession, which I thought was really refreshing and really kind of cool to see in a historical romance. And yeah, I ended up really loving this one. I gave this one another 5 out of 5 stars. And finally, we have The Devil in Her Bed, and this is Francesca's story. So in the beginning of the prologue, we basically find out that Francesca, she's staying with this family, and the family basically gets slaughtered. So she decides to take the name of her best friend who was a part of this family to basically get her revenge and find out what actually happened that night. So this prologue starts off pretty heavy. It kind of hits you in the gut and you cannot put this book down. This is probably the more suspensey of all Kerrigan Byrne's historical romances, and it's really fast-paced and just keeps you on the edge of your seat throughout the entire book. Now there are trademark Kerrigan Byrne twists and turns in this book. You may be able to call out, if you like read her Victorian Rebel series, you may be able to see similar things that happened in this book that happened in that series. And I have heard a little bit of critique about this series, is that sometimes people did not like how the book ended a little bit abruptly. To me, it did end up a little bit abruptly, but it didn't diminish my enjoyment of the story. And there's some things that readers have a problem with the hero's actions towards the heroine, their whole relationship, that I won't get into because this is spoiler free. But yes, there are some more criticisms lodged against this book, but overall I still really love this one. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Let's wrap this up. So overall, this is probably one of my favorite series that Kerrigan Byrne has ever written. I love each of these books for all different reasons. One of the things that I really wanted from the Victorian Rebel series is a series from Kerrigan centered around the women. It was cool getting the men and seeing like how they all connected, but I love getting to see a band of female characters that are just as badass as those characters in the Victorian Rebels. Not to say that the heroines in those books were not as badass, but I just kind of wish we got a little bit more of those heroines throughout the series and kind of got to see a little bit of their interactions as the series goes along. Yeah, so overall I give this series a 5 out of 5 stars. This is an absolutely fantastic historical romance series with a slight bit of darkness mixed in, and it's definitely very steamy and very angsty, which is like trademarks of Kerrigan Byrne. So I highly recommend that you guys go pick up this series. You will absolutely love it. So let me know down in the comment section down below if you have read these books. And if you have, let me know what you think of them. Did you like them? What is your favorite book? Did you hate some? Did you love some of these books? Just tell me your thoughts, and I'll catch you guys with a brand new video. Peace.